Welcome to the English Language Institute of Singapore's podcast. In this podcast, Dr. Tay May Yin, Principal Master Teacher of English Language, is in conversation with Mr. Kenneth Gwee, Curriculum Planning Officer. Their discussion today is about the teaching, learning, and assessment of the General Paper.
Hello, Dr. Tay.
Hello, Kenneth.
Looking at the revisions in the GP syllabuses over the decades, what do you think remains constant in GP teaching and learning?
I would say that what is constant is that the General Paper contributes to the holistic development of our students so that they can become curious, self-motivated, self-directed, and responsible individuals and citizens. I think our role and responsibilities as teachers of GP should be based on our shared understanding that GP is a discipline in itself. It is not just a content-based subject, nor only a skills-based subject, as is often thought to be. We know that GP as a discipline involves the development of critical and inventive thinking skills, as well as having a good command of English in order that ideas and perspectives can be processed and presented well.
That's a really good point you made, Dr. Tay, about GP being a discipline in its own right. With this in mind, what do you think is at the heart of GP teaching and learning?
I really like that question, Kenneth. At the heart of GP teaching and learning should be our focus on our students as learners. Here, I reiterate what is stated in the Singapore curriculum philosophy, that at the heart of every decision that we make as GP teachers should be our learners. In determining why we teach, what we teach, when we teach, and how we teach, it is critical for us to consider who we teach and what their learning needs, interests, and profiles are. Therefore, in GP lessons that we plan for and enact, we should focus on the desired student learning outcomes, of developing in our students the skills of critical and inventive thinking. We must provide them with ample opportunities to explore a range of key issues of local, regional, and global significance, which cut across the disciplines and are explored from diverse perspectives. In the process of active dialogue and debates in GP classrooms, our students will then grow their understanding and respect for their peers in terms of the varied perspectives that each has, and also learn about the value of the interrelationship of ideas. They should also become adept at interpreting and evaluating the issues that confront us in the world we live in. As our students vigorously participate in the exploration of ideas and issues, we teachers must shape and form in them the dispositions of being inquirers and metacognitive learners, as well as a willingness to convey their views in a balanced and thoughtful manner. In addition to teaching the skills of being critical and inventive thinkers and growing essential habits of mind in our students, we must also hone their command of English so that they can communicate their ideas effectively and persuasively. I would add that as GP teachers, the way we assess our students is a critical part of teaching and learning. So our plans for assessment and the assessment modes we choose must align with the desired learning outcomes that we have planned for. There are varied modes of assessment besides pen and paper. We should also involve our students more in peer and self-assessment for them to grow in the metacognitive domain.
Yes, I definitely agree with you, Dr. Tay, that we need to keep our eyes focused on learners and encourage them to take on a more active role in peer and self-assessment so that they can grow metacognitively. Speaking of growth, how can GP teachers continuously grow to meet the evolving needs of their students?
Well, Kenneth, I offer 3 ways. First, we need to keep abreast of what is taking place in the world and its impact on the world. More importantly, it is necessary for us to make connections in what we read, view, and listen to, as well as what we write, represent, and speak. We each hold our own worldviews, but GP as a discipline requires us to be discerning and impartial in our processing of information and opinions, as well as in articulating and presenting our own personal views. The second way is we need to continue to enhance our knowledge bases in terms of, first, our knowledge of our own learners. Second, our knowledge of the teaching of the various skills of oral interaction, critical reading, and writing. Third, our knowledge of pedagogy, including assessment. Fourth, our knowledge about language, and this refers to grammar and vocabulary and the effective use of language. And fifth, our knowledge of the GP syllabus. And finally, the third way is we each have to continuously reflect on and inquire into how our students learn and how we respond to improving our students' learning. We must never assume we know everything. We must adopt a professional stance of continuously inquiring into what we do and deepening our practice as GP teacher professionals.
Great point there, Dr. Tay. I do think that it is important to be reflective in our teaching practice to improve the student learning of the subject. General paper is a subject valued for developing in students the knowledge and skills to explore issues and appreciate the complexities of the world we live in. Students learn to consider issues critically, consider different perspectives, and contribute constructively to their communities. The General Paper Syllabus 2022 builds on the strengths of the previous syllabus, and your perspectives have given GP teachers much food for thought. Thank you, Dr. Tay.
Thank you for having me, Kenneth.
Thank you for tuning in to this podcast. This podcast was brought to you by the English Language Institute of Singapore in collaboration with the General Paper team of the Curriculum Planning and Development Division. I would like to thank Dr. Tay May Yin and Mr. Kenneth Gui for their time. For show notes of this episode, please visit go.gov.sg/ELIS podcast. Thank you.